Good evening or good morning. I'm Joseph Samuel Catalano III. I'm a presidential candidate for the 2028 presidential election, and I'm running as an independent. I spoke the other night about a bill that is very to, excuse me one second. I'm getting feedback here. Okay. I spoke about a bill that is very hits home with me, and I'm a firm believer that my experiences in life is going to be the central core of how I run this campaign. People want to connect with someone real, and I bring that to the table. So I think the other day when I spoke about prison reform, I think it was misconstrued by a lot of people. And so I spent the last couple of days really getting in depth with the Prison Reform Act, and I got a lot of things I want to read. But first of all, I want to read a campaign message. Now, prison reform should never mean releasing dangerous criminals, violent predators, must stay behind bars. But for nonviolent offenders who prove they changed, we should give them a real path to work, rebuild their lives, and contribute to society. It makes perfect sense. Not all people that are in prison are hardened criminals or deserve to be there for the rest of their life. I want everybody to dig deep into their soul and think about some of the worst mistakes you made in life and how bad you felt and how bad you wanted to correct it. Or if you went to prison and when you got there, your whole life came flashing before you and you said, is this what I've done to myself? I'm not this person. I need help. There's many people in prison system are like that. I also touched on the Disability Act, which is a very strong bill that was written and enforced very well in the United States. And I was appalled to hear how people with disabilities and handicaps in prison are not even getting what is built into the Constitution and into a law that they must receive these things. And when someone that is profoundly deaf is denied an interpreter, when it's an important meeting, when it's a medical decision, when it's to sign anything, we're failing them because it's written that we must provide this for them, and they don't. And when people say, "What makes you think you qualify for president?" Or better yet, why are you running for president? You want to know why? Because I believe in America. Because I believe America deserves leadership that's built on honesty, integrity, and real life experiences. We've had for 40 years the same old thing promised by the same old people, and nothing gets changed. Nothing. They make it seem like they're giving you change. Do you realize there's 330 million people in the United States? We're $33 trillion in debt. Now let's just put an example, and this is just an example. This is something that can never happen. But let's just say if it did, you took that 33 trillion debt, you divided it by the 330 million people that are in the United States. That would mean each one of the 330 million people will be responsible for about $100,000. Not realistic and happen, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I don't think anybody ever bothered to just add that up and see if it was the people. If we took all responsibility, every person on the United States took that responsibility, it would be 100,000 per person. Don't seem like a lot when you break it down like that, but it is 333 trillion. So I went ahead and I put a lot of work in this because I think I want to get my message across clear. And yes, I understand that some of the things that I'm talking about, the people that have never been in trouble, the people that have never been in prison or plan to never go to prison, which I'm glad to hear that. Um, they don't want to listen or care about that. But you don't care about lowering recidivism in your town or in your state. So this does affect everybody in the United States if this bill is properly done. Now, I understand presidents can't just go in the office, sign and say, this is how it's going to be. I get that. But as president, well, I lost something. As president, this is what I present to someone that can go represent me on what I believe in and to start the process to get this into law. I know from the inside out. I've seen it. I've lived it. A lot of people haven't. I have. I could promise you. I am not trying to tell you to let out hard criminals. You guys took that the other day. Like, you're a criminal. That's why you want to do. But I'm not telling us to give a break to any criminal. I'm not trying to make it easy for them in prison because it's not. Prison is not meant for it to be a cakewalk or for you to have a party. It's not the Ritz-Carlton. So understand this very clearly. I would want these rules, even if it was for me, my own child, or any family member, or any friend of mine. If they were a person that wasn't eligible for this, they wouldn't get special treatment. So I'm going to redo this so you guys can understand this better. The Catalano Prison Reform Act. Clearly, eligibility and public safety standards. Crimes that are never eligible. These crimes permanently disqualify an inmate for participating in the Catalano rehabilitation and early opportunity programs. Number one, anybody who commits first-degree murder will not be eligible to ever apply for this. Number two, anybody that's a serial murderer will never, ever have the opportunity to get any type of break. You will stay behind bars for the rest of your life. Number three, a mass murderer, a mass casualty attack. You have no prayer of getting this program. You will stay behind bars for the rest of your life. Number four, any terrorism resulting in death. You will not be eligible for this program. You won't get no easy breaks. Your sentence will remain to what it is, and you will not get nothing even close to a chance if you committed these type of crimes. Number five, a child sex abuse, molestation, no prayer. Don't even think about it. Child trafficking, number six. Again, I'm a father first and foremost. I'm a grandfather first and foremost. If you think because I went to federal prison for making a false statement to a federal agent that I would have compassion or sympathy for people that hurt a child by giving them a program so they can get out and do it again, if you think that, you don't know me at all. I do know this much. A lot of things that I have that I'm bringing to the table are things that I personally experienced, that I got growth from, that I learned. The other day, I said, if we go in an addict, someone goes in as an addict, a bad addict, and comes out the same thing, we failed that person. The system failed that person. And that's a fact. If a person goes in, I mean, if a person goes in mentally challenged because of being a drug addict, and we don't provide the proper way to fix that person, and they come out still a mentally challenged drug addict, we failed that person. The system failed. We have many systems in place that have failed. Now, I'm not here to point fingers at anybody. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to say, all right, I'm going to complain on this. That president did this. This president did this. That person in the Senate did do this. Okay. We could do that all day long. We could point fingers all day long. You want to be a point finger man? To me, do that. You want to do that? You want to waste that time? No. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to try to change the Constitution. I'm trying to. When you want to grow an apple tree, you plant the seeds and you go out and you water it every day, and you watch it grow, and you watch it grow and you nurture it the right way to grow the right way, to be the greatest apple tree that exists. So when you take an apple, you got one of the best tasting apples there is, and you did it by planting seeds and honestly watered it every day because you cared for it, you nurtured it. I'm talking about going to the root of the core of this nation's problems, replanting the seeds, rebuilding. I believe strongly. I was speaking with a man who's a city councilman in the state of Ohio, and he saw some of my things that I've written on some of my platforms that he agrees with highly, and said I now have him as a supporter. That was a big thing for me to get a professional politician who's been in this game a long time to a guy that's never been a politician, who has sat here and told you how he was an addict, how he was in prison, and amongst other things that I've done. But you got to know one thing: everybody and everything, whether it's good or bad, you got to learn from it. When you fail, failure is not a sign of weakness. Failure makes you a better person so you can be a winner. We must fall. We must crawl before we can walk. We must walk before we can run. We must fail before we're successful. We must evolve and evaluate when you're 20 to 29 and a man, your thinking process and how you act is probably going to be more immature, not be too responsible. You hit 30 to 39. Now you become a family man. You got more responsibility. So you start evolving into being a better man, a better husband, a better father. When you hit your 40s to 50, you're now experiencing possibly being a grandfather. So anybody that don't get growth as they get older, you better evaluate yourself. Because I definitely would never want to be the same man I was at 20, the same man as I've been at 30. In all fairness, people that judge you because of things you did, anybody that judges you without knowing you, no matter what the situation is, you have to question their integrity. You have to question their ability to understand how life works. Abraham Lincoln had zero education. 1 year completed of education. And in my eyes, the greatest president that ever was. No education. Remember that. There's a lot of people that judge. We're not meant to judge. We're not meant to be here to hate. We're not meant to be cruel. We're not meant to make fun of people that might have a disability. But I do know one thing, and I'll say this very clearly. People judge leaders more by how they react than by the way they say it. So if I'm saying all the right things, but I'm reacting in a different way, I'm going to be sending mixed signals. If I react to something or somebody that don't like what I'm speaking about, and I react in the wrong way, that don't put me too good and too strong of a person that they're going to believe in that. I've made my share of mistakes, and I react sometimes very wrongly to people. So every day I learn in my life how to be a better person. So when someone criticizes me, instead of me fighting back, no more. Because I have to maturely give the right answer by saying they're entitled to your opinion and move on from that. Don't give them the breathing room to take it further. Because we are, in this country, are entitled to our opinion. And we're also entitled to bash someone in power of office. There's no written law saying you can't tell a president to go kiss your ass or that you suck or you're the worst president in the United States. There's no law saying that you can't say that to him. There's a law saying you cannot harm him. There's no law saying you can't speak your mind to him or her. And that's what I call when you can adjust yourself from the mistakes or the things you did or how aggressive you got and how you were so quick to fight back. But now you're learning and you're listening. And that's another thing. I had the ability many times to not listen because I always wanted to have the last word in. No, that was wrong. People will pay attention to someone that will listen to them and really listen to them. It shows you care. It shows empathy. I get challenged every day by people that think I'm dumb. I'm a moron. Remember, President Lincoln had zero education, lower than I have. And he was a great president. Number 7, child exploitation, child pornography production. Forget about it. You're not eligible for the program. Number 8, human trafficking involving minors. Forget about it. You're not eligible for the program. Kidnapping involving a child. You're not getting anything near the program. Number 10, murder of a police officer, a firefighter, or first responder. If you harm the people that throw their lives out there every day for us in everyday situations, and you want to go hurt one of them, let's just say this. If I have anything to do with it, you'll never, ever, ever breathe air on the outside of a prison wall ever again. We should be grateful for our first responders. They put their necks out every day for us. And I'm be honest, I disagree with a lot of law enforcement, and I have a tendency to get aggressive with law enforcement. And in my eyes, there's times I probably should have just kept my mouth shut and just listen and not try to be the aggressor or be so quick to insult him or be so quick to tell him that he's doing his job wrong. There's ways of doing things, and that's called growth. And I feel that I grow every day into a better person. If you can't have growth from your mistakes and from growing year by year, then you are just doing something seriously wrong. And if you feel, anybody feels out there, I'm 60 and act like you're 30, and you have no empathy or any compassion to even care that you're acting like the mindset you had at 30, you got a problem. Because you should want to grow. Mistakes will be made every day in your life. That's what we're humans. Humans make mistakes. It's how you handle that mistake. Number 11, murder during a terrorist act. And number 12, torture resulting in death. Number 13, murder during sexual assault. So if you're that guy that has got to harm a woman and you put her through something that she may never recover from, may put her mind in a state that she's gone forever and she could be never the same person again. But you want to take it further and you want to end that person's life. If you do that if I get in office, don't ever think you'll even see daylight. There's a prison that's here in the United States. It's called the Supermax Penitentiary. And it's the toughest, most well-built prison in the United States. It's in Colorado. It's called the Supermax. It's actually built inside a mountain, escape proof. They said it about Alcatraz, but I believe they finally mastered they're not getting out of this place. And they put the worst of the worst there. Now, if we have to, we'll build tougher prisons. Now I'm going to bring on my guest, who I've learned to respect as a journalist, as a political analyst, OG Mumbling Nick. 1 second, Nick. I have to add you this way. Hang on 1 second. Just give me a moment here. You fix this down here, right there, right here. All right.
Yep.
Give me 1 second, Nick. Let me just align this. Wasn't sure you were going to come, so I didn't have. Okay, I'm going to do this way, Nick, and then I'll bring them down like this. Get it like this. There we go, like that. There for that side, and I'll do you full screen then on like this, and then I'll bring you down like this, and then I think we got it better there. Okay, that's good. And bring me over a little more here, and then I got you there. Nick, welcome. I'm glad you could join me.
Thanks for having me, Joey. You can keep me small if you want, man. I have no problem listening to the rest of your speech.
Oh no, that's fine. But I've got a lot to cover, and I'm glad you made it, because I've really grown to really believe in you as a journalist for politics, and I think you do a great job, and I think you're fair. The most important thing to me is that people don't judge people, that they be fair. If I need criticism and it is due, then I'll accept that criticism. If I'm trying to do something and people want to make fun of it because they think I'm just making a joke out of it, then that's wrong, because I taken this very serious. And I'm very proud to hear what you said tonight about it makes sense to want to put before the nation things that I've experienced and I know about. Yeah. It's a great way to because I was told by a few people that I questioned that are in the political world, said that your best defense will always be the honest, integrity way, and to talk about what you know about. If you want to make dramatic changes, I'm not here to change the Constitution. I'm not here to rip on any president, former president, any House Speaker, any senator. What I'm here is to say we have to go back to the roots, and we have to regrow the roots so the nation could get strong again. That's what I'm saying. So I'll get back to this, Nick, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm reading off. I redid this because when you guys hit on that earlier today, I had forgot to tell you that I redid this the last couple of days. I really went in depth with this, and like I said, I'm not the most educated guy in the world, and my handwriting is horrible, but I got a lot of ideas, and I write them down, I put them in there, and I make them so I can read them legibly to people, you know. Yeah. But it's all from my heart and everything that I've experienced, and I wanted them to understand that by any way, shape, or form, I'm saying let's give criminals an easy life in prison. I'm not saying that at all, and I wouldn't want that for anybody that deserves to stay in prison. So I'm reading off the people that are not eligible, will never be eligible for anything of this program that I feel is going to work. And I'm really happy to hear that you guys believe that this could work, especially when Liquid said that, because I think if it's properly done, whether it's by me getting it through somebody to push it through to get it voted on, to get it into law, or another person that believes in this strong enough that has the power to do this, I still think this will work either way. If it's implemented the right way and followed the right way, and never sidetracked it or 1 ounce of taken away from each program. You follow through with the programs all the way they're meant to be, and I promise you, you will get back productive citizens in the United States that will be grateful for what you did for them, to wake them up. You know it because you were a former addict. Mm-hmm. You know the greatest thing when you wake up every day, sure, your life might be boring. Sure, you might have to go work hard. But you know what? You're clean. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I've accepted the same thing. Yes, I like the fast-paced life. Yes, I used to enjoy that, all the things that came with it, all the bad things that came with it. But you know what? I'm more happier today of being a simple, boring guy. As long as I got the love of my family and the love of my wife next to me, I know I'll be okay. And that was the biggest struggle for me, is I think I was worried about, am I going to be popular anymore? Am I going to, my thinking, and people can never understand it. It's like when you lose a child, you can never go to a person and say, I know what you're feeling. Right. How can you say that if you've never lost a child? Don't give me that. If you never were an addict, don't know how an addict thinks or what we do, because you can't. And I'm not saying it was right or wrong. What I'm saying is My years as being an addict and all the mistakes I've done and all the stupid things I've done has molded me into the man I am today. And it's made me be stronger, and it made me want to fight for things that I should have believed in years ago. And I'm like you. I loved politics when I was younger. I didn't trust nobody because they just gave you nothing but this, and did nothing for nobody. And then you throw drugs in the mix of this, and you start losing years. You could be a drug addict in 1983, and all of a sudden you wake up, it's 2003, and go, where did the last 20 years of my life go? That happens to a lot of people. So I'm not excusing anything I did. I'm not asking for sympathy. I don't want that. But I want people to understand that I am evolving to be a good person. And my life experiences have formed me to be a righteous man and to want to help people the right way. Okay? I don't want to, I believe justice can work because, I have to, my God, I had many, many people that were in the police department in my family that were good cops and that did a lot of good for their communities. You understand? It taught me values. I understand values. I understand tradition. I understand what's right and wrong. I know how to put my left shoe on and my right shoe on. You understand? I was clouded because I put poison in my brain and poison in my body every day. And I thought that was the way of life. Mm-hmm. That's on me. That's on nobody else. Number 13, murder during sexual assault. You don't get eligible for this program. Murder during kidnapping. That's number 14. You're not eligible for this program. Number 16, genocide of crimes against humanity. You're not eligible. Forget it. If you want to do crimes against humanity, you're going to be treated like you're supposed to be treated. Biological or chemical attacks causing death. We're not going to tolerate to let nobody that does that to the United States to even think they're going to see daylight ever again in the United States. It'll never happen. Murder or multiple victims during armed robbery. If you got no compassion to go into a bank with an automatic weapon and you know there's 40, 50 people in there and you're not smart enough to let those people go because even though it's wrong to go in and rob a bank, but you can do that without having to take hostages and not hurting anybody. Right. Whether you get caught later on down the road, that'll be decided how we do our job. But you don't have to go in there to harm people. They're there cashing their paychecks, going to draw money out with their children, just happen to have a day off. Why would you want to hurt them? They did nothing wrong to you. And if you do that, don't think you're going to be eligible. Repeat violations of murder offenders. Let me tell you, if you murder once and you get lucky and you get 20 years and you do 18 and you're out and you go murder somebody else, don't even play with us if we're going to let you back out the second time. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. If we give you the chance to get parole on a murder charge, which we do, unfortunately, the United States do have a lot of compassion for people that have committed murder in certain circumstances to do 15 years and they get out. And some of them come out and they're whole different citizens. They made an honest mistake. But if you're one of them guys that think you're going to slip through a program because you like to kill somebody or you enjoyed it, and you do slip through the cracks, which I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It could happen. You can slip through the cracks. Society has proven that. But if you get caught a second time and go back out because it's shame on us for letting you out the first time, don't ever think you're coming back out again because this time you won't. Organized criminal execution. People think I'm all hamped up on the mob. It's a hobby I enjoy learning about. It was something that intrigued me growing up. I say that in a way that, yes, criminals are criminals, but they just had a class way of doing it the way they did it. They didn't hurt children. They didn't hurt the senior citizens. They tried to do a lot of good for their neighbors to get back to the community. They're still criminals, so they're not going to get no breaks because they were nice to my grandmother or nice to your grandmother. You understand? Yeah. I want that to be clear. Yes, it's a hobby. I enjoy the history of it. I am very much deeply love to know the history of some of these men that come from the early days of the mafia, because some of them were very brilliant men and intriguing. And some of them, and this is why I understand why the FBI profile a serial killer and leave him behind bars for 20 years before they kill him, because they want to study his brain and they want to know what makes him tick, and they want to know, they get as much out of that person they can for a study so they can profile other possible serial killer. And it's very effective because they are able to catch other serial killers because of other criminals that they caught.
Right.
It is an effective tool. I think they go a little bit too long. I don't think someone that you're already ordered to be death to give them 20 extra years. I think you're just not. It's not necessary. You're basically if he gets caught at 40 or 50, and you give him 20 years, he's going to die anyhow soon.
Yeah,
You're not
right.
doing nothing for the people. You're slapping the people in the face. 5 years is sufficient. You can't get your information in 5 years. I'm sorry, he's got to go. If he's ordered by death, he's got to go, and that should change. I'm very strong about that. John Wayne Gacy laughed. He got caught. He heard the 32 bodies they found just under his house, and he acted like he did nothing. It was nothing that he did wrong. And they let him paint like he was some kind of painter, I'm glad the governor stopped him. He wanted to sell his art. People wanted to buy his artwork. Can you imagine that? A guy that killed all these kids, and he's this fancy artist now, and they're letting him have a sale out of the prison cell to get the money so he can live and eat in there. I'm glad they stopped that because that would have been pretty bad. But it's like the lady, the serial killer in Florida, that female lady. She really was nuts.
Yeah.
That the government allowed her to kill. They basically didn't want it. They knew she was killing and they were okay with it. That was her last meeting before she got the needle in her arm. That was her last words. And you got a guy that I couldn't understand became a serial killer. What was the guy that was he a lawyer or a doctor? What was his name? He comes from a wealthy family. The guy that got killed, what was his name?
Which one?
Ted Bundy.
Bundy? Yeah.
There's a guy that I can't even understand why he even began it. But after I started reading some things on him, do you know that the first time he committed the act, it was purely accident. He was into some hardcore sex of strangulation, and he accidentally went too far with the person he was with. But he said the power that he got after it happened, he could never shake off his body, and he had to get that. But he chased and chased. It's like I could say this as an addict. When people that smoke crack, you're never going to get high as the first one ever again. I promise you that. You'll never get what you're looking for. You're going to chase the rest of your life. That's a proven fact. The same way with what Bundy went through. He wanted that high of the feeling he had. He never got it. I'm just explaining things. I'm not agreeing with none of this stuff. I'm just giving you examples of people can change, and people that do horrendous crimes. I am not trying to tell you to let them out. I wanted to make that very clear tonight, because when I heard people come at me and say, "You're just a criminal and you're just trying to help other people," no. I'm trying to help people that are good people, right, that made a few mistakes, that are starving for someone to step up to give them a second chance of life. And we can do that. We're a nation that can do that. We could get the money to fund this. If we could put $20 million over to a country for a hurricane, we could definitely help people that we know could be put back in society to be productive citizens and pay taxes. If we could do for another country of strangers, we have to think of our own country first. We have to repair us first. We cannot worry about other countries. I'm not saying that we should shut the door completely. What I'm saying is, if you can't handle your own house, what makes you think you should go over and handle another house? It's just not right. We got American soldiers that served in the United States of America that are homeless. How is that even possible that we let anybody that spent any time in the military be homeless?
Yeah. We talked about that tonight on the live stream. It's insane.
I don't want to hear about it slipped through the crack, because I'm not going to fall for that at all. No. You have to be more accountable than that. How do you let someone that went and fought in Vietnam, which was a bullshit war anyhow, and I'll say that very, very, very heavily. It was a war that should have never happened. Okay? And it messed up a lot of men came back. They were a little messed up in the head from that place. You understand? But to let them be on the street and don't even care about them. Why? They gave their blood, their guts, their honor to go over there and do that for us. And you want to leave them homeless? No, these are the things I'm talking about. Rebuild from the roots up so things like this can't happen. We got to be a stronger nation. Most thing I worry about, I'm 60. In 40 years, I'll be long gone in our memory. You understand? But where's my great-grandchildren going to be? if this country is not safe for them. I want them to be not afraid to walk down the street. I want them to be able to voice their opinion like we're allowed to be able to be a voice in this country to help people. If we make it strong now and keep it strong and take care of us first and stick together. This country was built for us, the American people, to be able to participate in things that happen in America. We have the freedom to give our opinion. We have the freedom, the ability to go down to City Hall and argue something that you want into place or something that they're not doing right. We have the right to argue with our leaders and debate with our leaders. We have that ability. So that means we all have a voice in this country. Everybody should be treated equally in that department. Don't don't say because they're poor and you look at somebody because they haven't had a bath and they've been living on the street, and don't say they're not a citizen, because their word should be just as much as the guy that has the $10 million house. Their word should be the same as his. They're human beings and we're people. People disregard and people go, tomorrow I'm going to hear this. It's because you've never been poor. You've been poor your whole life, and then you're an idiot. Right. That's what I'm going to hear. Yeah, and you know what? Who's the idiot, by me or you making that statement? Because if you don't think everybody as a human being should have that right, then I think you should evaluate yourself, not evaluate me. And we're not supposed to judge anyhow, but we do. This country does. That's the only one thing that I don't like what we do. We're not meant to judge.
Right.
You should never judge someone by just because it's the first appearance or how they dress. Or it's like I watch a lot of motivational stuff, and I like these people that make these videos that use voices like Denzel Washington. You know, you've seen him. I'm sure you've seen him, Nick, where he's giving just motivational stuff and putting stuff out. But it's good. You know, like Denzel in one of his videos I watched the other day, he said, if you dress too sharply, people think you're showing off. If you dress too raggedy, people look at you like you're poor and you can't contribute nothing to the society. You understand? This is the mind of what people think. And he's so right. He's so right. If you don't love hard enough, you're incapable of being human to anybody that you're close to. It's just, no, people should not have, you should not have to judge people by the way they dress, the way they look. You know how I want to judge people? I don't want to judge people. I just want to hope that I am the country that people will be people the way they're meant to be, and not to want to harm people and not want to harm this country, that we want to defend our country. Because you know what? The most dumbest people in the world, and I don't never say that I'm high with a high IQ or not, but I'm smart enough to know that I want safety and I want communities to be protected, and I want my family, Nick's family, James Sardine's family, anybody that's rich and famous, I want their families to be safe. Anybody, I want everybody's grandma. I don't want no one to feel that they have to worry about walking down the street and worry about. There's, you know how many people that I know today for fact they won't even come out of their house. They're afraid to even walk out in front of their house because they don't know what's going to happen. That's no way to live. Listen, we're all gonna. One thing I promise you, we're all gonna do someday. This is a fact that no one can change. We're all gonna die. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you can do about that. That's one thing we all have in common. But I'll tell you what, as a man, and to the man next to me, left of me, in front of me, I put my pants leg on just like you. My left one, my right one. Okay? I dress just like you. I put my tie on if I wear a tie. If you wear a tie, I have to use the bathroom just like you. I have to eat just like you to survive. I have to drink liquids to survive. I get sick just like you do. I get a cold. So just because you're more successful, that's a wonderful thing. But if you're being successful and you're greedy and you're not giving back to people, then what's the sense? I couldn't live like that, because if I was a multimillionaire, I couldn't see myself passing by and not helping people. I couldn't do it. I'm not built that. My character's not built like that. I do it now. I'll give someone my last $5, even if I know I haven't nothing to eat, and I see someone that needs it more than me, I'd rather him have it than I'll go starving. That's just me. But yet I'm called a lot of names and a lot of things in my life. But you know what? It made me stronger, and it made me realize one thing is If I feed into it, I'm just as bad as you are. If I feed into it and let you do that to me, I'm no different than you if I fight back and argue with you. So the next time someone asks me, and I'm learning this, and I'm believe me, I'm really putting the work in, and I gotta learn to memorize a lot of stuff. But the next time I'm asked why am I running, my answer is going to be simple because I believe America deserves leadership built on honesty, integrity, and real life experience. That will be my answer to the next person that asks me that question. And if that don't explain everything, then I don't know what to tell you because that's the truth of how I feel. I got a few more on this list. Um, Number 18, murder of multiple victims during armed robbery. I already read it. Repeat violence, murder offenders, organized crime. The last one, school shootings resulting in death. And I probably people were hoping I was going to say that because they're like, well, he didn't cover it. Yes, we've had a lot of school shootings over the last 10 years, maybe last 15 years. And most of them were confused children that were just obviously needed somebody to love them and hold them and tell them things are going to be okay. You do have aggressive parents. I don't disagree with teaching your children how to defend themselves. I'm not a disbeliever in that. I'm not even a disbeliever if you properly train your sons at a certain age to use a firearm to teach him the right way if he ever had to protect his family. I'm not against that happening. It's what I'm against of is when you're showing your hate while you're teaching him
Right.
to fire a firearm, and at the same time you're teaching them how to be prejudiced against other races. Then I got a problem with that because if you're teaching your son to learn how to fire a weapon, and then you're sitting there and you're belittling other races, and you're telling them these people are no good, then I have a problem. But if you're teaching your son real values, son, unfortunately in life, we're a country that's free. And when you do things right, you're allowed to have a gun license. You're allowed to keep weapons in your home. And this is how you properly use them. This is how you properly lock them up. And hopefully someday you'll never have to do that. You'll never have a situation where you have to harm another human being. If you're teaching them that way, then you're doing the right thing. But when you got to teach a kid to say, I don't have to even go into the races. We know what I'm talking about. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood with a lot of mixed races, all kinds, shape, size, and so. And we didn't pick at each other because of our color or how we talked. We knew that we lived in a poor neighborhood, and our parents, or we didn't have a father, or we were just living with our mother. We knew that it was a tough time for our family, and we knew that we could go two ways. We could go on the streets and be a criminal and sell drugs and pump that stuff out on the street to put more poison out, or we could educate ourselves the best we can and learn and learn and learn and go out and be somebody productive. Because when you become an adult, there's no more blaming your childhood like a lot of people do. Because if you made it out as a child, no matter if you were abused, whatever you seen, your mother was on drugs, whatever you seen as a kid, if you survived that, you should never use that as excuses why you're messed up as an adult. Because I'm going to call you out on that. Right. Because you have the chance to be a good man, no matter what you went through, and be accountable. And I'm not saying that psychologically things like that can mess you up, but you can be repaired from that. Especially if you go out and you got education and you went out and you took a job or you went in the field that of going to be some like a first responder. If you had a bad childhood and you said, you know what, I never want to be like my parents. I loved my parents, but they didn't understand things and they were a little rough. So I'm going to be the opposite. I'm going to go out and I'll be a first responder. I'm going to help other people. I'm going to get married, treat my wife like a queen, and make my kids understand and treat my kids with love. Then you're doing something. But if you go out and you say, I can't help myself. I'm an addict because my dad beat me every day. I'm an alcoholic because my dad fed me beer or whatever. That's a poor excuse because as an adult, we have a choice. That's one thing I can say about me. I could never sit here and blaming anybody in my family for what I did because I don't recall anybody in my family being next to me when I made that dumb decision to go out and do something stupid. I just remember me looking in the mirror and saying, you're an asshole if you do this. That's what I remember.
Yeah, there's definitely like an addiction gene, but you got to take accountability. Like I definitely have addiction that runs in my family.
I do too.
My father was an addict, his brother, a couple aunts, I had cousins, but I was, but my siblings were not. So they
Right.
watched their father and their older brother, but they still ended up awesome. So
And you're
it's
very right, Nick, because it is there's a lot of diseases of alcoholism and drug addict, being an addict, that is handed down to for generations and
yeah.
generations. It can be a chemical thing that you pick up from genes from your parents, and that's okay. What I'm saying is, don't point fingers.
100%. Yeah, yeah,
Don't point
yeah.
fingers, because we're all born into the United States, and we are first class citizens. Every person that comes at birth, at that point that day, we're a first class citizen. That's all we know. We're in the United States, and we are a citizen that is a good citizen because it's our first day in the United States. And then we progress how we're taught, and then we go down roads. I believe strongly a child's development is very vital between the age of 1 and 5. I think it's vitally that they are properly taught as much of the right way they can, because you're set the pace for them once they're past 5. It's pretty hard if you consistently don't teach them the right way. They will take their own path at 6, 7 years old because it's proven. I know what I was at 8 years old. I didn't have the parental guidance. I chose my own path at 8 years old, even though I knew right from wrong. I had good grandparents. I had grandparents that were honest, hardworking. My great grandparents came to this country. They were all good people. They believed in law. They didn't break law. My grandfather was a detective for 30. He was a Chicago police for 38 years. Was one of the finest men that ever wore the Chicago police uniform. Okay, and preached heavily. But I was too young when he died because my father, his son, was the opposite of him. He didn't teach me values. He didn't want to be around me to teach me anything. But when I was able to get to know him as an adult and try to have a talk with him, you know what he said? I hear you
What?
get high. You want to go get high? That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
Of course I did. I said yes because I was already an addict. But when I thought about it after the event happened and I was laying alone in my room, I cried to death myself to sleep. Said, "No, how can he do that?"
Right.
Even though it was my choice. You see,
Yeah.
it messed me up badly. But I don't blame him because he was an addict too.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't look at me as a son. And I get that. I understand that now. He never looked at me as a son. He didn't. There's no possible way he could have any compassion that I was his child. And I accept that. I accept that. But you know what? When he was dying, I didn't say, screw you, go away. My sister and I took him in and we nursed him to death. We did what the honorable thing was. I didn't respect my father, but he still gave me life.
Yeah.
And so I did what I should have done. I didn't do something bad to him because he tried to do something bad to me. I gave him a roof over his head, and I comfort him during his time of dying. I think I did. I could sleep at night knowing I did the right thing, no matter what. He's still my father, and he gave me life. That's about all he ever gave me. But that's good enough for me. You know what I'm saying? So I know that when I started out with this, because first and foremost, I'm a podcaster in a very, very crazy world of the Dabbleverse Corner that is very, 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 very unorthodoxly. I mean, so unorthodox and so crazy with people, the logics and the thinking that they do, and the things we see, like the other day with in New York. It's crazy, but it in a way though, it could be very fun too. You could have a lot of fun here, but there's a lot of people that they judge, and people just think of when they're in their mind when they think of you one way, how they think of you. It just forget it. You can't change that. It's like Carl when I talked to Carl one day. I asked his advice, and Carl said to me, "It's too late. You'll never be able to break out of YouTube, out of the Dabbleverse, to do anything that I told you to do a year ago because you're too installed in the Dabbleverse. You understand? You're a figure in the Dabbleverse now. They'll never let you alone. They will follow you and torture you every day that you try to do something." And he was 100% right. I've tried to break away. I've tried to just go straight baseball interview. And I had to go as far as turning the chat off so they wouldn't disrupt my interview. You understand? So he was right. When I first came on scene and talked with Carl in an interview, he said, "My advice to you, you know a lot about baseball. You know a lot about the problems in your neighborhood when you grew up around all the guys, the gangsters. Talk about that. Go do a great podcast like that, and you'll be successful. But get out now while you can, because you're not that well known.
Yeah.
I waited a year and went to him. He says, "You're crazy." Everybody told me that. They're not going to let Joey C go. They're not. They're just not going to do it. You're a figure now in them, and that's it. And they set the precedent how they're going to treat you. And I accept that. So it's either my choice to say, I'm done, and I'm just not going to do the Dabbler stuff no more, and I'm going to focus on my campaign. But the best advice when I complimented you and Liquid Cryptic, it was probably the best advice anybody could give me that I really believed where you said it, is I must, and I tried, and I wasn't trying hard enough, I must separate the two. You must understand that whatever you think of me in the Dabbleverse, I put it as all fantasy. Because
right. Yeah.
if you met me, like several people have, they're going to tell you he's nothing like he is on that screen. He really is. He has class. He knows how to act in public. He's not as. I'm not a crazy, wild, loud fool. I know how to act in public. The other day, I heard somebody made a comment how the first Hackamania, I think it was Quadfather that said it yesterday, how he heard I was stuck in a corner because nobody would talk to us. He is so full of crap. Everybody came up and talked to us. Everybody that said they couldn't wait to see me. Can I take a picture with you? Can I get your autograph? And I'm like, me? Why do you want my autograph for? I'm nobody,
Right.
But it was not what he said that I was in a corner somewhere, me and my wife, and we were high and we were dazed out of our mind. We weren't. And for him to think that that's the way he's got to go, okay, I get it, man. That's just you. I get it. And now, I guess a lot of people are going to Hackamania this year. Probably more fans than there's a lot of people I want to meet that are going this year. But I just have no desire to spend the money to go because I've been there and done that. Now, Dr. Steve is promoting me to go. He wants me and my wife there. And he asked me what it will take. I said, Dr. Steve, to be honest with you, I don't really want to go, but if you really feel that I should be there, and I did the taping for Storage Pours at Rocco. Yeah. We did the interview part where because he said, you know what? It was great. I thought it was bad what you sent me to take. He said it was great. Me and Carter, I tell you, everybody's gonna be impressed. They showed me the intro. They got it all down to what it's gonna be. It's to be like a 40-minute show with Hackaman. And I'm in there asking me questions about things, and we just finished that up tonight. But it went well, and he says that it's going to be good. So I think that he'll probably continue that to make a series, and then we'll go to Storage Pours 3. I would go there for that, but I'm not trying to police myself or try to solicit myself to go. I'm not trying to tell people. I told Dr. Steve straight up, Dr. Steve, if you guys they really want me to go, this is what it's going to take. I'm not asking get me 2 direct flights round trip to get me and my wife there. I'll take care of the hotel and just make sure that I got the tickets to get in. That's all I want. It's only fair. If they want me there, I shouldn't have to pay for the ticket. I'm not a fan. I am part of the Dabbleverse, and if they want me there because they want me to banter with people and they want me to do my little on a live podcast and be on then why shouldn't I be treated differently? If that's what they want, then they should pay for my plane ticket and they should pay for my ticket. And if you guys disagree with that, I'm sorry. I'm not asking for it. I had nothing to do with this. I chose not to go. But because I love Dr. Steve and he's been a good friend to me, I will go if he wants me to go. Just like I told Rocco tonight. If it happens, I'll go. And I'll go and I'll be proud to go. If it don't, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I'm not gonna sit here and go on a show and you guys call me a grifter and say I'm doing it. I'm not doing that. I've got too many more serious things that I want to do in my life.
Right.
And that's building a rapport with the United States of America and the citizens to understand me, to get out and interact with the people, to meet me in the flesh, to look me in the eye and ask me an honest question so I can give them an honest answer. Because I think the American people are starving for someone that could just be normal and do, or at least put effort to make it a better place without giving any lies or just brushing it off because they're on air. We have to try. And I think we're in the greatest country that ever existed. I really do. I just think we've been misrepresented by people that had too much power and people that did a lot of things for their own gain. It still don't make them the worst of the worst. it just makes them show that they really don't care about their country. They're in it for self gain. I, I I really want to make a difference. You know, if 30 years from now, if I did become president and I really made a difference, and I won't be here to see it, but it would, in spirit, if it's true that there's a life after death, and we could see our people, we just can't be with them. And I see my great grandchildren and my friends' great grandchildren or Nick's great grandchildren talking about President Catalano, how he was the turn of how we became a strong country. Do you know what? I've done my job. Then I've done my job, and that's what I'm looking to get out of it. I'm not looking to take any money, anybody. Listen. I know about temptation, and trust me, when you're on the influence of alcohol, drugs, or a sex ride with things you like in that world, addiction and power struggles come with how you want to do things and how you want that fast-paced life and how you want to have that popularity. It's bad. It runs like adrenaline is bad. And I understand it because I lived it. But you know what? I'm not that person no more. I'm not. I could stand here and look into the eyes into all the people that I always knew I had it in me to be a righteous man, to always serve and help people in the best of my ability, love my neighbor, help my friends, help my family, and help a stranger. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind to somebody that is misfortunately living on the street, or it doesn't hurt you to open a door if you're going into Walmart for someone that's coming behind you that might be a senior citizen and say, "Here you go, ma'am." It doesn't cost you nothing to smile at somebody and say, "How's your day doing?" But some people take that as being wrong. If you say hi to somebody, I've seen people snap my head off. What do you say hi to? I don't know you. Okay, sorry. It it's just a matter of showing empathy and being kind to people. It doesn't cost you anything to go up to somebody. I went up to a guy last week and he was in bad shape. Now, whether he was a drug addict, he probably was, he looked like it, or an alcoholic, it was a cold night in Florida. And we went out at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want to. And my wife goes, "You want to make a video?" I go, "I don't want to do this to put this on the air." But we went out and gave out blankets to all the homeless people that were downtown. I gave out 12 blankets that I had.
Nice.
I did that out of the kindness of my heart. My wife goes, "You know what? I'm so proud of you." Because 10 years ago, I probably would have said a whole different tune about them.
Yeah.
But I drove by there a couple hours earlier, coming from the store, and I went through downtown, and I cut through where the bus terminal is, and I couldn't believe how many homeless people were out there because the shelters were filled. And I knew it was going to be deadly cold that night. And I said, "Babe, with the storage, we got a ton of extra blankets somewhere, right?" She said, "Yeah, we got about 12 of them." I said, "Let's go give them out to those people." And you know what? One guy snapped at us. One guy snapped at us and got mad at us. And my wife smiled and said, "Okay, sir, you don't need it. No problem."
Yeah.
He got really upset with us. I don't know if he got upset because we woke him up. She was trying to just throw it on him and cover them. So, but this guy, I don't know. Maybe he was just grumpy. I don't know. But we didn't take it personal. I mean, if you live homeless like that and you're on the street, I met a guy that told me he was homeless for 5 years. And I'm like, 5 years is a long time. He says, "I just don't have no drive to want to do anything." He says, and I used to be an addict. I'm not no more. He goes, "But I got used to being homeless." And I'm like, "Well, don't you have any goals?" He says, "I got no family. I got no kids. I got no wife. I got nobody. My mother, my father." He says, "I've got accustomed to this way of life." And I thought that was very interesting. I wanted to really pick his brain to see what drives him to be like that. But I just shook his hand and said, "I wish the best for you, whatever you decide to do in your life, as long as he's not harming anybody and he's minding his own business, it's like I was showing my wife the other day. I drove around. We have all these over the expressways. You got underneath the expressways. You got a lot of empty space under them.
Yeah.
And there's just dead space. You can make tent cities for these people. It's not going to cost you that much money with the waste that the government does to give them a tent. At least they could be out of the heat or in the cold. It might not be 100% to protect them. But when you got a wind coming through and you're inside a tent, you ain't got that wind hitting you.
Right.
You got a chance. There's little things like that they could do. I counted so many of them, and I'm like, this is so perfect to put tent city under here. It's just wasted land that's underneath the viaducts. They could utilize this in so many ways. I finally had the courage to write the mayor of Tampa, and I got a response. I'm hoping she meets me in the next couple of weeks and allows me to come to her office. I introduced her I'm a registered candidate for president, and that I must get on the ballot. I have a lot of work to do, and I like to just come and talk to her and introduce myself. I'm a local, and see maybe she could give me some ideas of where to go get these signatures, or what's the best place for me to go.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for any help I can get, and to show her I'm at her disposal if she could need anything in the community. I'd be willing to help, and I think that's important. That I've got, even though it's 2.5 years away, uh, it's not that's going to go by fast, and I've already run into the roadblocks of some states telling me, "Sir, we can't even let you come collect signatures till December till January 28th. They won't even let me in their state to get signatures until January 28th." And they only give you a 6-month window. They make it very tough for an independent.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Very tough. And I'm going to take it even further. I believe for years now that the red, the blue, the left, the right have feared the independent because they know they'll have more freedom, and their point of views are going to be stronger, and they know they're really going to fight. And I think it scares them, is why they've shut down and made it so hard for an independent to win. But I think that you're in for a rude awakening, whether it's me. But I think an independent's going to make it upset this time in the election. I think we're finally going to get someone that's an independent. I believe that strongly in my heart, because I don't know if you noticed, if you saw, we're about 300 more people that are signed up to run for president in the history of ever amount of people. That's how many more people are on for the 2028 ballot. An extra 300 people compared to the previous election that have registered to become president, to run for president. There's a lot of people that obviously are upset and want to try to have their word heard. But let me tell you something. It ain't easy. You got to get the signatures. I might be registered and I followed everything to the letter of the law with filing you got to file quarterly reports if you got money coming in. If you don't, you still got to. That's the easy part. Going out and trying to get 200,000 signatures in the state of Florida when you've never been a politician to convince them is a whole new ballgame. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of work. New Jersey, I only need 2,000 signatures. The lady at the election board told me, even if you got no experience, Jersey would be pretty easy for you. There's like 10 states that they say most independents get right away. They can knock them out. And I made a list of the easiest states to knock out right away. Then there's the medium states. But then there's those drastic 6 or 8 states that are so vital to the election that it's almost near impossibility you'll even achieve it unless you really buckle down and do it. So it's a matter of making the right connection with the right people that are going to believe in me, believe in the same views that I have. Because Nick was right. Him and Liquid hit one thing. There are people that have never been to prison, who plan on never going to prison, who could give a rat's ass about a prison reform. Mm. They just don't care because they never experienced it. They're never planning on going to prison, so they don't understand it. But what they should look into is they should care about lowering crime in their area and in the United States. And that's what they should look at. That's what we're aiming to do. We're not aiming for you to believe in prison or think that that you should give prisoners a break, because I don't believe in, if you do the crime, you should be able to do the time. And I don't believe in favoritism, and I don't, because it does happen. There's with the guards, some guards are more afraid of the people that get a lot of power on the street, like the gang leaders and stuff. So those gang leaders could pretty much control their section in the jail, because the guards, they just threaten the guards, and the guards buckle like nothing. You understand? And that ain't justice. No. That's you bringing in drugs for the gang leader so he could be the king inside the jail. And let me tell you something. There's more drugs and alcohol in prison than in the whole United States. I'll promise you that. A lot more expensive, but I promise you that. A bottle of alcohol that you go to the bar, if you bought a Jack and Coke, and I don't know, even have a clue what they're going for today, but I heard that bars are pretty expensive. Let's say it's going for $10 a pop, and you got a little bottle that big, and what are you going to get, 12, 15 pours out of there? I don't know, right? So you add up to that, go for $500 a bottle in federal prison for any top shelf bottle. Jeez. 500, and there's guys in there that buy one a night. One a night. That's what they adapted themselves to how they live outside. Even though they can't go home at night, they make their lives comfortable, because if you got money in federal prison, you can buy anything you want. You can buy steak, you buy lobster, you can have anything you want. You want a woman, you can get it. Anything you want if you got money. Everything's Cash App, baby, in prison. You got to send Cash App, you're gonna get what you want. And that's just a fact. And people, it's funny, it is. But I mean, there was a guy, there's two guys in there, an Italian guy from New York and this black guy that was from, I think he was from Louisiana. They teamed up together to make these burritos. And, because you could buy all this ingredients at the commissary. I mean, real chicken meat, real beef meat and cheese and the tortillas. And they put this stuff with the beans in there, the cheese, they load it up, they wrap them, and then they steam them. They take a mop bucket. They get a brand new mop bucket from the guards. They tell me they need a brand new mop, none that's ever been used mop. Right. They fill it with water, and they make a homemade stinger that boils the water to keep it hot. And then they put the burritos inside a container, and they steam all day. So when they're ready to deliver them, you get really fresh, probably the best burrito I ever ate in my life. And they come in the morning. They do it 3 times a week. You in for burritos tonight? I got you down for 2. Yeah. All right. Make sure the Cash App's there at that Cash App I gave you by 12 o'clock. They call their people at 1 o'clock. How many orders we got? Well, we took in $3,000. Okay, so that's the usual. And this is 3 days a week. They make $3,000 on a Monday, 3 on a Wednesday. They make $9,000 a week selling homemade burritos. And you want to know something? The guards are right there eating with them.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
That's reality of life. I'm telling you, is reality. But as long as they're not hurting nobody, BOP they turn their head on stuff, on certain things like that. They don't turn their head on drugs. You could call it drugs. You're getting time. But the warden came by and says, just don't be so public with the making pizzas and But he's not going to discourage it, because if it keeps a peaceful dorm,
right, yeah.
He's smart to say, go ahead and have your pizza.
Yeah.
They're not doing nothing wrong. They're just trying to have some type of the outside connection that they don't have no more. So they'll turn their heads on that. And I understand that sometimes you do have to turn a cheek for stuff like that, because that's not a crime what he's doing. They're pretty. Some guys are really nice and share with people. They'll make a couple pizzas. Say, hey, maybe on their side of the bunk, there's 12 bunks. They might feed the whole 12 guys. There's guys that are kind, and there's some guys that won't do nothing, but they just want to be left alone. I talked to a guy one day, and he says, I've been here 8 years. I don't bother nobody. I respect every rule that's here. I don't mess with drugs. He goes, but I love to cook, and I have the ability to go to shopping at the commissary, and I like to make stuff, and I like sharing it. And they don't bother that guy. The guards come, and he gives them a dinner whenever he makes, and they love him. But he just needs something to to have his sanity, and that's what his sanity is. So you got to look at things at prison. Most people think prison should be a cruel place. Prison is a cruel place. Trust me when I tell you. It's not the Ritz-Carlton. A real prison, not no camp, not no low security. A prison that is high maximum security is hell. I promise you that. It's like living in fire every day. It is very horrendously bad. And you walk around with a knife on your body at every given time, because you don't know if you're the next one to be stabbed or killed. That's no way to live. But that's the first thing the guards tell them when they bring them in the intake. You better learn how to fight, and you better make sure you make a shank that you can hide that we can't find, because you're gonna need it. Because they kill it. They stab about 80 people a day here.
Jesus.
If you look at a guy the wrong way, you get stabbed in those places. If you mouthed off to a guy, the best thing to do is, you don't know what another man went through for that course of the night or the day. Yeah. He might have called home and his opened the mail and his wife served him divorce papers. You don't know what mind they're in. So your best bet is to keep your mouth shut and show respect and just mind your own business. Yep. And you pretty much live by that. You're pretty safe. The minute you want to be a guy that's going to be opinionated and think you're going to be being an asshole, well, I tell you what, I promise you're going to be in the hospital shanked. If you live, I will be surprised, because they used to call us over from the camp to go clean up the floors, and it was nothing but buckets of blood we used to carry out of the floor. The most horrendous thing I've ever seen. It's sickening, and ambulances in all day long, come through the front, past the camp, into the back to the prison. Horrible, horrible. So those type of people, my whole point to this is they are not eligible for
Right.
this program. So don't misconstrue that I'm trying to let prisoners out, because I'm not. I'm trying to help people that can help, who help themselves first and show that they're serious. And listen, there are tests that can be done. There are ways of telling if someone's trying to con us. Some people slip to it. No system is 100% foolproof.
Right.
Somebody will figure out the cracks and try to slip through. What I'm saying is we won't tolerate that. We're not going to tolerate. If you go in this program, we expect you to be serious, accountable, to work it the proper way. And the end result is that we're going to shake your hand, give you a diploma, and then after you're out 1 year, we're going to pay you a visit and see if you really the program worked for you. Because I think that's important. We go a year later to the people that went through the program to get their honest thoughts. Did it help you? And if they say 100% made me back to a human being, we have a victory. We've done something right. We've rehabilitated the right way. But if you get 100 people saying, man, I slipped through that program, you had so many cracks, and now I'm a big meth dealer, we failed everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, what we're doing. We're failing too many people. What's the sense of having a prison? You might as well not even lock them up. Because if you're going to just give them to be wild, you might as well just forget it. You're not accomplishing nothing. And I believe in discipline. And me, I said I deserve to go to prison. If prison is what's in front of me, I'll go. I didn't hurt nobody. I did, but I didn't hurt nobody physically. But I did allow a family that might have needed that money, even though he told me, the prosecutor said, you found out about your wife doing it and you were upset. I get that. Why didn't you stop her? Why didn't you stop her? I want to know why. That was his big question to me when I was on the stand. Why didn't you stop her? If you are so sorry, why didn't you stop her? He says, you might have been sorry, but you didn't care because you wanted the money to spend, because you were an addict and you were a gambler. Is that right? I said, yes, that's right. Plain and simple. What was I going to say at that point? He drilled me so hard and wanted me to say those words that, as smart as I tried to be up there, he broke me. He broke me to a human being, to know, now you're human, he said. Now you did the right thing. That's all he wanted me to quit, to see. Don't think you didn't hurt her. You hurt some lady that had 3 kids that needed that money, and you took that from them. And he's right. I finally got it. And the judge was nice. I had a good judge. He was more different. He handled things a lot different. He actually liked me, my judge. He says, you're an interesting guy, he said. He said, but I don't see you as a career liar. I don't see you as a person that's mean to people. And I see that you probably help. And he goes, I see that in you. He goes, but you're a hell of a talker, he said. He said, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But he says, consciously, Mr. Catalano, I couldn't put you home right now knowing how bad of an addict you are, because you got a little grandson at home. And it would be unfair to him if I let you go home without being rehabilitated and to let you clean up and dry out, because I couldn't go home and look at my kid all night and let you go home to your grandson. He says, so I hope you understand the difference. He says, so you're not going away for a year. You're not going away for 6. I'm giving you, I'm giving you a little bit more than 6 weeks. He goes, a 9-month sentence. And you already got 4 months in the time. He says, so you're going to breeze through this. But the whole point is, I can't consciously go home to my family knowing I let you go home back with another chance after you failed this many drug tests. He goes, because if I don't do this, you're just going to go right back to drugs. Am I right? And I said, you're probably right, Your Honor. He said, so you agree with me? You know that I know what I'm talking about. So I'm not being too harsh on you. He says, because really I can't, because you don't really have a big criminal record. He says, and I could, in federal, they don't have to file guidelines. They're not bound to if it says this crime must be 3 years, like the states. He can do whatever he wants. But morally, he says, I'm not going to go outside of what you scored. He says, because I don't think you deserve that, but I do think you need a good 6-8 months to dry out and think about it. And he says, and I think that's going to be the difference. And a matter of fact, I put a call into the judge because I do a prison. I know I do a prison podcast interview where I interview people that come up. And I was watching some people that have went back and got their prosecutor and their judge that put them away, and they've agreed to come on their podcast to interview them because they love to hear someone they put away with a success story of driving to be a better person, and they will come on. So knowing my judge, he was a good guy. I'm hoping he grants to come on that I get to interview him. I would love to interview him. I think it'll be great for me, and I think it'll be a story that to hear his side, that everything I'm saying, how he said to me is true. All you do is look at the transcripts. The transcripts don't lie. Everything I'm telling you will be in the transcripts. So it's like when they did the thing a couple weeks ago about me and my wife, when they actually showed the court proceeding and they used the right transcripts on the day that we changed our plead, that's exactly how it went. The exact way he did. I was okay and happy that he did that the way he did it, because he not only did he show that I didn't lie about anything to anybody in the Delaware. I was telling you how it went down. He took the time to get the transcripts and do it the right way. And it just to show you that you ain't got to call me a liar. Everything out of my mouth is not, I don't lie. Generally, that's not my practice. Okay. I love to talk and I go on, but I pretty much rather be truthful than a liar. And I'm not saying that I've lied. We have all lied in our life. I have too. But that's not my general practice, how I want to live.
That's fair.
Now, without taking up too much more time, the next spot, I know he's probably tired. Those are the things that are not going to be out. They're going to be, just don't even think about for the program. And there's actually more to the list. There's another 10. I don't need to read you because they're just, it's anything to do with homicide, robbery, hurting people, anything like that, rape, anything to a child is basically school shootings is all right here. Now, eligible nonviolent offenders. The following offenses may qualify for rehabilitation programs if the inmate meets strict. Now, let me tell you something. Now, again, so you understand, I'm not just trying to hand them the keys to leave. They must have strict behavioral and program requirements. Drug possession, they're eligible for this because most people that are that are dabbling in drugs and are lost, whether maybe someone died they were close to, their mother, their father, maybe they just had a hard way in school with being treated by their friends. They were treated badly. Whatever turned them to drugs, I think they're at the same time they're calling out for help, and they should be eligible to train them, to teach them. You made a mistake. Drugs are bad. We're going to show you why they're bad. We're going to teach you a trade. We're going to help you when you get out. We're going to get you. You're going to get a job. We're going to put you back in society. We're going to teach you how to spend your money and how to save your money. And we're going to see the results if we're right or if we're going to be wrong. And those people, a low-level drug distribution. If a guy's out there selling nickel bags of weed, I'm not going to penalize him to 20 years in prison. Right. Come on. I mean, a lot of people, even if they're dabbling in small amounts of harder drug, as long as it ain't fentanyl. I do want to revise that, and I forgot to do that. If it's fentanyl, I'm sorry, you're not eligible for this program. Anybody dealing in fentanyl, you're dealing a product that will kill 50-50 chance someone will die from it. So I have to say, that most people know what fentanyl does. I will have to say I'm going to change that on my paper, that if you're on a fentanyl charge, whether you're a user or not, you're not eligible. You're just not. It's a drug that should be banned from the United States, and if you get caught with it, you should have some steep penalties. I really believe that. It's like MDA when they made it a national ban from the United States. You get caught with anything with MDA, you're looking at a lot of years. Yeah. So, and I think this should fall into that category. It's like in Illinois, they made a Class X felony if you got caught with a weapon and any type of hard drug. The charge the gun charge became not just a regular carry, unlawful use of a weapon. You got caught with a Class X felony because they construed you that you got that the detention for having that gun is because you're a drug dealer and you plan on using that to kill somebody. So the crime is 6 to 30 mandatory, not eligible for probation. So you either have to beat it or you're going away for minimum 6 years. So that would take you out of the picture. So any Class X felony, of course, which some states still have a Class X felony, you just can't be eligible because you can't let someone out that wants knowingly want to go commit bodily harm to somebody. Because I don't believe in that. I don't never want. I've never heard anybody that way, and I don't expect anybody should want to. But believe me, I hate to say this. The saddest thing I learned with some people I knew is when they sat down with me when they were messed up and I was messed up. And Nick, I'm sure you got some wild stories in your day of things, conversations you had. I know one conversation, a guy, my friend told me how he enjoyed watching people be miserable. how he got off on people putting pain on people. And I looked at him, I go, "Are you serious?" He goes, "That's how I get my rocks off, man. That's my whole drive." And I'm like, "That's a little rap, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean," he goes, I thrive for that. You know, he just went to prison for his seventh time. I just looked him up. I haven't heard from him, and he's back in prison. And I'm like, and he's 53 years old.
Mhm.
I mean, come on. Here's a guy that if I thought for sure if he got arrested again to go back to prison, they would give him life this time. Because I know after so many times they get tired of it. They just say, "That's it. There's no hope in you. You're going away." But he got only 3 years, and he got put in a camp, and this is his seventh time because he only got caught with like a little bit of drugs on his body. He wasn't dealing or nothing there,
Yeah.
and he wasn't beating up cops like he usually does. But still, he hasn't learned nothing. He was out. He made it 3 years this time, and I really was proud of him. I said, "You're going to do it finally," because he used to get caught within a year. Most repeat offenders, when they get out of prison, they go back within the first year. That's guaranteed. If they go back to their lifestyle, they're done within 11 months. They're caught. He made it 3 years. And was going to church, and I said, "You're going to do it. You're finally maturing to it." And then I don't hear from him, and I go, "Let me take a look." Sure enough, I go on the website. There he is, John Clarence Lopez, sentenced to 3 years. I go, "Oh my God, there's no," and I'm not going to help him. I used to send him money, write him. I'm not doing it no more.
Yeah.
Because you want to know something? I'd be an idiot. It's like slap me in the face. I'm surprised he had to call me. Can you send me some money? Because he knows I told him, "You don't call me no more if this happens." And he was a good friend, but he's just a bad addict. He just don't want to learn. Theft under certain thresholds. I mean, if it's a theft that you're doing like a home invasion, or you're going to rob, like I said, a bank, and you're running with weapons that will kill people, and you're trying to intimidate people by putting a gun or a machine gun in their face, and they got little kids. Listen to me. If you could do that to somebody instead of just get your money, get out of there, and take the chance of getting caught, because you could go into a bank without a gun and put a note to a teller, she has to give you the money. That's a fact. She can't argue with you. She can't do nothing. She has to give you the money. If you present a vote that you're here to rob the bank, and you even say something like, "I know I got your picture. I have your license. I know where you live. Give me that money." She has to give you that money and let you walk out. She's not supposed to interact nothing. Then the next procedure is call the police. The police call the FBI, and they do the investigation. Yeah. You're not supposed to sit there and argue with them. But so there's no reason for anybody to go into a bank and do strong arm robbery and put thousands of people in jeopardy. You could walk in with your everyday clothes, put a note in that teller's hand, or enough, shake her hand, and be soft as you want. She's still going to give you the money. So there's no reason. But unfortunately, some people have a lot to prove. So those type of thefts, we're not allowing you. Fraud. Listen, if you want to not let someone who's lost and commit fraud, because that's how he makes his money, and he's not trying to hurt small people. He's not trying to go take little grandma's money, and he's going after corporations that rob you every day anyhow and are not true to you about certain things. You know what? He should have a second chance to show us that he can go back into society. Now, I'm saying if we give this guy a chance and he goes out and he does good, but then he goes back to it, I'm sorry, you're never going to get the program again. You understand? So I'm trying to make people understand that I'm not trying to be soft at all. Prison is not meant to be soft. And I presented it in a way that I understand where it got misconcepted by people, because people that I was presented to were just looking at me as the guy they know in the Dabbleverse who's been a criminal, So, and I thought it was important, and I watched Nick quite a bit. Sometimes I don't say hi in the chat room because I don't want to be bothered by the people that will come and are going to attack me in this chat room, in people's chat. But I always try to say, "Nick, how you doing? Hello," and I've really grown to respect you, Nick. And I'm really sorry for last year when you tried to connect with me that I didn't believe enough in you to that was on me. But I'm glad that I've grown now enough to say that I know you're doing the thing right, and you're trying, and you really care about the political in the United States, and I see that, and I think that you do it with a lot of right from your heart, with a lot of compassion, and I think you and Liquid are both very knowledgeable in politics, and I'm very impressed. And when I took the time to just listen to you guys and listen to what you got to say, I've learned some things. And it's because of you two guys that I stepped my game up, because you gave me the confidence to do it. But you're right on certain things that, yeah, you're a long shot, Joe. But you know what? We like what we're hearing out of you. You stepped your game up, and your some of your stuff is good. And that made me know that I can do this. I can. It's worth to try to do it. And my wife doesn't discourage me. She don't think I'm crazy and say you're nuts.
She says, baby, if you think you can do it, we'll do it together. And that's what, to me, is everything in the world. She backs me and knows that I'm doing something what I believe in. I want to make this a better place. And that makes me feel good that I got her backing, you know. So that would be, and there's a long list of like gambling offenses, nonviolent conspiracy charges, possession of illegal firearm without violence. If someone owns a gun and had got a case, and they still have their gun at home, but they're not flashing it, it's strictly maybe a sentimental thing they got from their grandfather. They just hit it from turning it in. You're not gonna be disqualified from going here. A nonviolent obstruction offense, certain immigration relation offenses. We have to still show compassion to some of the illegal immigrants. We have to show, because they're not all bad. They're not all here to harm us.
Yep.
And that's the other thing. They're human beings. So we have to go case by case and study them. And hopefully we do it the right way so we get the right truth out of them. You got to remember one thing. When they don't speak English and they're here and we're waving guns in their faces and we're throwing them on the ground and they're possibly going to kill them, that could change anybody to be scared to clam up and not want to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a fact. I'm not saying ICE is way out of control. I would like to talk. I'd like to come back on your show again and talk about that subject with you.
That'd be
ICE.
great. Yeah.
I would love to do something like that because I've got my point of views with ICE, and the bottom line is it comes down to one thing: they got too much power, too fast, and we're not trained right at all.
100%.
And that's the bottom line.
Yep.
They got too much power handed to them, and it went to their heads, and they were not trained properly at all. And that can't happen. Look what happened. We lost American people because they weren't trained properly, and because we gave them the power and saying, don't worry, do what you got to do.
Yep.
You can't do that if you're not training them right.
Nope.
You can't do that. That's like oh my God. It's an old cliche that gangbangers on the street they go find a 13 or 11, 12-year-old kid. They say, kid, they would look for the one that's poor, no father, and they throw a bunch of money in his hand. How would you like to make this every day, kid? Right? All we need you to do is one thing for us. I'll put $500 in your pocket every day. You're an 11-year-old kid. All we want you to do is go over that corner and kill that guy right there. What's the kid going to do? Going to take that gun and go over and shoot that guy.
Yep.
Because you enticed him with that. It's the same cliche. You're giving power to a kid that shouldn't have that kind of power, shouldn't even be having a gun in his hand. But you're using it for your own personal gain because you know, but see, they got smart. 20 years ago, that kid walked. He went to juvie and he was done. He got out. Nothing happened to him. But now, they will try you as an adult at 11 years old, I promise you, if they could prove that you knew what you were doing. And most of them do. So laws have gotten better for that. Not perfect yet, but they did stuff. But then again, if you guys don't understand one thing, for the last 40 years, you know one of the worst crimes you could do is one of the easiest things to get out of. And that's child pornography, child molestation of a child. If you want to know what the laws were for their sentence in the 70s, it's ridiculous. A psychological evaluation, probation, and maybe to go to do some weekends in the county jail. That's it. They didn't give them nothing. If they got a year in prison, they were lucky they got that. And we still don't have stip law for those people. What's his name? We had a victim in the Valvers. My friend was victimized by a guy that was his employee.
Oh, yeah.
And he got less than 5 years. That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, they'll lock a drug dealer up for life in prison and let a guy who wants to harm children out. And he's only have to do 2.5 years. He's out. That's it. Oh, big deal. He's got to register as a sex offender the rest of his life. And maybe he'll be on probation. But you know what? He's still free. He's still free.
They give getaway drivers life in prison for driving a fucking car. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sitting here, again, I don't want people to understand that because I've been in prison and I got a lot of people I know in prison, I'm trying to say because they're my friend, they should be let out. But I do not agree with someone that was just a straight drug dealer, didn't murder anybody, didn't rob nobody. He just never was rehabilitated the right way. And he like he says, if I don't sell to these addicts, they're going to go somewhere else and get it. Mm-hmm. So this is all I know how to do. I'm a drug dealer. And they gave my friend life plus 20 years with no possible parole. Life at 20 years, while a guy got sentenced to 20 years for first-degree murder and is walking in 15 years. That is insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
How do you justify that?
Yeah, no, you can't, Joey. I used to watch a lot of those like true crime shows or fucking forensic files, and you hear some of the sentences at the end. You're like, they just killed somebody and they got fucking 18 years. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
And especially when they start describing, knowingly you went there to commit bodily harm.
Yeah.
We've proven that. Your intention was to go kill that person. You were in a rage over your wife sleeping with another man. We proved that you went there to murder him. There was no doubt about that. But we're going to give you 15 years because you were a former Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
I just watched it. There's a guy from former Major League Baseball. He just got 15 years for murder. He murdered, I don't know if it was his wife's lover or something happened. He went over to, and because he's a former Major League Baseball player, they showed him compassion, gave him 15 years. And he went over there and wrecked this person and knew what he was going to do. He had it all planned out. Just because he played baseball and was a star in the people's eyes, he still did a 180 and did a heinous crime on somebody that he could have prevented if he would have just thought it through. But he got a break. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I'm sorry. If I was a famous person in any capacity and I went out of my rage because I'm an animal and people know my temper and people know that I'm easily provoked, and I went into a place because of someone else sleeping with my girlfriend, my wife, and I went point blank, didn't care who was there, and just fired and shot that person right in the head and looked at everybody and walked out. If you don't give me life in prison, then you're the dumbest person in the world that's on that bench. And I'll say that clearly. If you don't give me life in prison for what I just did with no regard, then there's a problem in our system that needs to be fixed. And that's the problem. People with power and money, they could buy their way to anything they want in this United States. Anything. That's the biggest problem we have. Money is the root to all evil. Money is the inspiration for anybody that has it and wants more. And money makes corruption. I don't care what anybody says. Money is where the corruption starts. It's the reason why corruption starts.
100% sure. That's why I'm into politics. That's why I don't, I lean one way socially, but I'm all about the working class, the fucking working poor, all that shit, because they're fucking all corrupt. The Dems and Republicans all
here's
corrupt.
the worst part, Nick. I don't down anybody that's successful or made it
100%. Yeah.
Even if they were handed everything by their parents who worked hard or their grandparents. I'm not mad at that. I'm not. You know what? If that's your lifestyle and your grandfather worked hard and he left you everything, and you deserve it then, because I don't hate you for that. What I'm going to hate is how you're carrying yourself and how you're disregarding human life and think you're better than people because you got money.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. Money will make you live a better life. Money doesn't, you know how many millionaires and billionaires are miserable in their old age and die alone? They say they wish they would trade all their money in to be happy. Money does not give you nothing but problems. It could give you a lot more problems than it can give you happiness. And that's just a fact. That's why when you hear stories about a big story comes out, a waitress got a big tip by an average guy that just went in and gave the waitress a $500 tip. And there's no explanation. He's just an average guy.
Yeah.
But he had a party of people there, and he felt she deserved it. And then you got the rich guy who's got billions. It was just 2 days ago. This guy had the nerve to say, I had a party of 20, and I gave the waitress a $40 tip. And she looked at me like I was nuts. Do you people think that I was wrong? And I wrote back to him, you had how many people? And he's a famous guy. He's someone that's famous. And I go, and you could justify giving her a $40 tip? Do you realize, my comment was, do you realize how hard they work for that money? Do you realize most restaurants don't pay them even minimum wage? Do you know that some people depend on it to support their kids with that? $40 at a party of 20? The bill, he said, was like $1,500 or something, whatever it was. And he gave her $40, and she didn't have the right to cringe at you? He told her, I want to see your manager. I don't like the way your attitude is. She said, okay, fine. And the nerve to put it on Facebook and ask people's opinion if he was wrong or right.
$40 is what you give to like a $200 bill, not a fucking $15,000 bill. Yeah.
And everybody said, well, normally, he goes, where is it written in this country that it's got to be 20%? It's not written. But I did is I went back and I looked at what were the average tips in 1950? What was it 1960? And I put that to him. The average tip by 1980 was 10% standard. It's not written. It's not a written law.
Right. Yeah.
But in 1982, the government started taxing the restaurant owners on employees' tips.
Yep.
And it's a 7%. They had to pay a 7% tax and report some of their wages. My son said, as a waiter, you must report at least 25% of what you take in. You must, and that's the standard. But the IRS opened this can of worms, and the restaurant owners had to show receipts. So the restaurant owners are mad at the IRS, so they take it, so they back the customer, not the waitress or waitress that does a good job. You see, that's the other thing that's wrong. I don't care if the IRS came after you and they're making you pay tax you. You're not going to stick up for the employee that just gave 20 people valuable service that they raved about, and you're not going to even stick up for her. There's a problem there with me, because let me tell you something. I got no money, and I'm probably one of the biggest tippers in the world. I just am like that because I know what it's like to grind and work hard for $1.
Yeah, no, I don't. We don't go out that much anymore. But it's like
I don't either no more.
If a waiter or waitress is just like average, nothing special, I give them 20%. If they're really good, I give them a little. I give them more.
Exactly,
You know,
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I'm the same. 20% I give, no matter if they're
Right.
good, bad.
Yeah.
I give it to them. But if they're go above and beyond, and I have to call them for a soda, or my wife has to call them for coffee, and they're on top of their game,
Yeah.
and I mean anything else I can get you. Do you want some dessert? And the bill's $100, $125. I bet you I'd give them a $50 bill, especially if I got the money in my pocket. And if I don't got it, I'm gonna probably still throw them a $50 bill because I appreciate that.
yeah.
And the fact is that more poor people and more working class people tip higher than anybody
100%,
of money
yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah, because they know how it is. Yep.
Because we know how it is to work hard for the money.
Yep.
And that's the difference. I'm going to go over some more things. Reentry preparation program. Also, they must undergo psychological evaluation.
There we go. I was waiting to see if that was.
Yeah,
that's good.
I think it's vitally important that we do that. We do a standard psychological profile. We make them talk with a counselor. We prep them. We see what they're thinking. We monitor that with the professionals in that field. There's scoring things that they can do that can tell you if they're going to make it, if they're going to flake in the program, if they're bullshitting. There's ways of there's questions that they ask that tell them things about people that people don't understand. Some of these questions because they're trick questions to give them the answers. Well, they don't know by those answers because the questions are designed for you to give the answers that they are looking for, and they know exactly what you're meaning. Well, you might not. You understand? And that's true. That's what they do. Participate in victim impact awareness program. If you are in jail because of you hurt a victim, as far as like you stole money from somebody, or you were a drug addict and you ran by and took someone's purse and got their wallet. You didn't physically hurt them, but you snatched their purse. We got to have a victim impact awareness program to understand what they did was wrong. You should not want to ever do that to a victim. There should be some consequences that I think that when they start earning money, I think if it's, they don't have, first of all, first offenders, we can't, if it's high dollars, they're not going to qualify. But if it's something within reason, I think that then we should make them get a money order, and with the help of your counselor or the people that got you in the program, to contact that victim, where you can make a public apology with them there in public with you and say, I'm sorry for what I did. Here's the money I took from you. I think that's not asking too much. I think it would be good for their soul. This is just something I personally think. I don't know.
It would definitely be good for them to meet and try and get some forgiveness.
I'm just saying that's a personal thing that I chose, whether it could be implemented or not, that I think it would make you be a better person inside for your soul. That's the reason why I wanted that. And that's strictly to something, my own personal preference, which is there's a lot of things here that mean a lot to me that I think because of my own personal preference, but I think they'll really work. They must demonstrate consistent work participation. You cannot just start calling off work and being lazy and all of a change your format. You don't want. You got to work. You got to be a productive citizen. You got to pay your bills and you got to work. And to pay your bills, you got to work consistently and stay at the job and do your job and get promotions when you deserve them and be productive for that company. If you're productive for the company, they make their profits. we did right by getting them the people that they hired, by putting them through the school to get the test. It's a win-win for everybody. Now, I'm telling you, when crime starts lowering because people are working, plus it helps unemployment rate go up because you're going to get people that are going to work that want to work. The problem in this country is people don't want to work. They're lazy. That's the main problem in this country. It's not that there's not work up there. There's are places that it's hard to go, but there's people that can't take a job. I'm not saying you have. A lot of people don't agree with some jobs because they feel they're overqualified or they'll never do that. I get that. I was the same way. I'm not working at McDonald's. Are you kidding me? If I got to work at McDonald's, I did everything wrong in my life, you know? But if that's all that there's offering, you got to feed your family, my suggestion is you better go work at McDonald's until you find something better. I was the same way. I made a vow to myself at 15, I will never work at a fast food place. And by the grace of God, I never had to. You understand? But if I was now at 60 years old and I had my little grandson needed a surgery and my family couldn't do it, I would work at McDonald's to help pay for that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Now I would do that. When I was a teenager, I told my friends, I'll never work at a fast food place. I'm sorry. And I lived by that, and lucky I never had to. But I changed how I think because you never know the situation might come into your life. And that job that you dislike or disagree to work at might be the one thing that'll save someone that you love. You know, so you have to stay consistent at a job. And I tell a lot of people I've been passing, don't do something you don't like to do. If you're miserable at your job, don't do it. Yeah. But if you have to do it because it's a survival, then you have to do it. But if you got other means, why would you take a job that makes you miserable? Do something you love. If you're able to do something you love and you have the training and you're good at it, I would suggest for anybody to go do what they want in that respect, to do what they love and what they're crafted at. But if it's a situation that you have to do, then you have to tell yourself, hey, it ain't going to kill me to put my pants on it every day, get up and go to work and take care of my grandson or my granddaughter. It's something my daughter's struggling. I got to step in. So there's nothing wrong with that. You have to adjust. You got to be willing to understand nothing's too good for anybody. You got to realize that situations arise and that you've got to, when it's time to step up, to be a good parent, a good grandparent, a good mentor, a good leader. You should, if you're a boss at work, you should never ask anybody that's under you to do something if you're not willing to do it too.
Right.
That's rule number one.
Yep.
If you're not willing to put yourself in the floor with them to show them you'll do the work just like them, and you just want to be a lip service boss, and you got no business being a boss. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I did in the 25 years in the minor leagues is I told every guy that I hired that clubhouse, because they used to get mad. I had a lot of kids that come to high school kids, and I go, you think I just sit in my office? I tell you what, you do my job tonight. I'll teach you how to do my job, what I got to do when you're out here cleaning the cleats and you're out here doing the laundry. I'm going to show you what I do. And I'm going to let you do it tomorrow. I'm going to teach you everything tonight about bat orders, about budgeting, how to find out where we're going to get money because we got bad uniforms and they're telling me in the front office we ain't got no more budget money. What are you going to do for the players tomorrow? What you have to do for them, and you have to, where is this coming from? Where are you going to place it? You do all this stuff that I'm sitting at my desk doing nothing and you think I'm not, and I'll come out here and I'll be glad to pass out laundry because I done it for many years and I can do it like that. So let's do that. And they never want to do it. They go, oh, I'm sorry. I'll go out and do laundry. I sent them home early. You guys did a good job. They go home. Who's going to pass out all this laundry? I go, you wait till you come in tomorrow and see how the clubhouse looks compared to what you guys leave it at. And they come in and go, holy shit. You did, yeah, I did this because I could do it hands down with my blindfold. I know what to do, but I'm not afraid to. And that's the difference of being a leader. I had a kid that told me, I was hard on this one kid really bad. I believed in him so much that he had the makings to run a spring training. The players liked him. He had all the makings to be the right guy for the players, what they needed. But he was a mouth. He had a mouth on him, and he thought he knew everything, and he was opinionated about everything. And he always tried to tell me I was wrong and he was right. But I didn't fire him because I saw a lot of cockiness in him like me. You understand? Mm-hmm. So I nurtured him. And when he pissed me off, I suspended him for a day's work without pay. I sent him home. I taught him some lessons. Do you know today he's working in a major league clubhouse, and he called me about 5 years ago to thank me for being the greatest boss he ever had. I taught him more value. Nice. I believed in him and never gave up on him. And you know what? I never thought in my million years anybody would ever call me and tell me, because I could be I could yell pretty good. And I've even had players say, come on, take it easy on him. He's a kid. Well, you know what? But you guys are going to bitch at me tomorrow if something ain't done right.
Mhm.
But I get it. I won't be as hard on him tomorrow. I'll tone it down. I admit it to that. I have a tendency when I go off the handle, I don't think. So I fixed that problem. But I'm just saying is, I believe in this kid to be he's going to be one of the guys that are going to be in the game a long time at a level where he'll make good money and enjoy it because he loved the game.
Yeah.
And he's today still in a major league clubhouse as an assistant. And when he gets that head job, he's going to be all right for his older years. And he thanked me. He said, if it wasn't for you, believe it in me. And I go, you had all the makings. You just wanted too many things too fast. And I was the same way. I told him, I didn't tell you that at the time, but I'm telling you now, I was you exactly. I felt that, why ain't I getting the promotion? And my boss said to me, you're 19 years old. You think I'm going to promote you to that position? Even if you could do it, I'd be laughing stock of the game.
Yeah.
It's not your turn yet. And I didn't understand that. But I'm better than the guy you got in. That may be so, but he's more reliable than you. And I go, why come I don't miss days work? He goes, you will when you start making that kind of money at your age. You'll start drinking with the players. You'll start going out with players because you're young and you got the money, and then the girls are going to go hang out with the guys and the girls. Trust me, I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to change. And he was 100% right. I want to put somebody in that's established in a marriage, that's a good father, that's done this job like you with a lot of years on his belt. So I know when I'm at home, he's there doing what he's supposed to do, not sneaking off with the players or on the road with the players and doing things he shouldn't be doing and embarrassing the organization. And he was catch right. And I respected that. So it's people that might deserve early promotions, but when they're too young, they got to understand it's not that you don't qualify. It's not that you can't do the job. You're just not ready mentally to do the job.
Yeah, right.
And that's what he tried to drill in my head, and I understood it. It took me a lot of years to understand it. So, like I said, I hit on that, the psychological, the victims impact awareness program, demonstrating consistent work patterns, reentry preparation programs, trade certificate program. The big thing here is they go to class every day. We have a real accreditable program that gives them a real certificate of meaning that companies are going to back up the certificate that are going to want to hire these people after they're done. The thing is after they pass the course, they have the Job Corps be at the prison. It's not going to be they're going to release it and then go out. We're going to have those companies that sponsor this Job Corps and are sending, they're people to train them. We'll have the Job Corps a couple weeks before they go to get out of prison, so they secure the job. They have it. So when they get out and we put them into the halfway house, they go right to work the next morning. They have their tools. They have whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? And they go right to work. And that's the way it's got to be done. Financial literacy training. If we're going to train them to be more educated, we should have funding for them for schooling. There's grants all over the place for people to go to school. Just utilize what we already have in place and just put the money in the right places. People are like, where all this money come from? Sometimes you have to we just got to put the right money in the right place. There's plenty of grants and money out there and program. Sometimes they're just not put in the right place. Or there's a program that is way outdated that they don't need them more, but they're still funding. Okay, it's time to get rid of that one because it's been dead for 10 years and take that money and put. So it's not a matter of we have to ask the taxpayers for any more money. It's just utilize the money we have the proper way. Now I'm no bank. I'm no genius when it comes to financing. I know what you're supposed to do, how to manage money, and I know how to do it. Whether I choose to do that or not, that's on me. But I know that there's plenty of money in our government if you implement it into the right program to pay for all this. So we don't have to bother the people for taxes. There is money, and you know I'm right. You know that there's plenty of money in the government.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying is for Congress and the Senate to open their eyes to see you got the money. Don't sit there and say we don't have it. Don't shut it down because you're worried about how you get spent because you don't have to raise taxes. No. There's money in places that you could. There's wells you can go down, pull that money up, and put it in a viable program that's going to work. Without a doubt, I know that to be 100% true. So, and that's what the convincing part is when you sell this to them and you get the representative to go in and you get Congress, and they go in and they vote on it, and they do their things that they have to do to get it to the next step, and the next step to get it into law, to make it come to be life, to do their part. If you sell it right, and you sell with conviction, and you show them without a doubt, this, if you stick to this, it doesn't fail, they'll do it. They'll put this into place, and I think in the long run, we'll be well thanked by many people that we help, and I think that we won't lose a big percentage of people that will fail after a year or two. I think that it'll stay good. My projection is 80% of the people will stay in that program and live through it the rest of their life. That's my hope and my prediction. That's my dream. So you can't, nothing's 100%.
Right.
And I'm not going to shoot for 95% or 90% because people said I'm blowing smoke up them. But I think 80% is a good number. And I think it could be viable to work. And I think 80% of people successfully through the program, I think you just lowered crime by 50% in our country in 10 years. I believe that strongly. A 50% reduce in crime, you got a happier people. You got people that are now not afraid to go to the parks with their kids. You got people that are going to trust their kids to be out in front riding their bicycles now because you've done something big. You brought back this country to where it was always at one time. You used to be able to walk down the street, leave your house doors unlocked, your neighbors looked out for you. You could do all that in a world that had serial killers, that we had a lot of crime, but you still had the neighborhoods that took care of each other and protected each other. You had that. You had people that watched your kids if they were out there. You had neighbors that cared. People are afraid to do all that stuff today because they don't trust nobody. We have to instill, first and foremost, the biggest thing to make anything work is instill trust from the American people to trust their government again. That's the first thing we got to accomplish. We got to let them trust us. We have to show them we're trustworthy enough. They can trust the government to work for them now. That's the first thing we have to do. And then we go to the root of all the problems and we nurture them. We re-soil them and we just go along at the right pace with all voices involved. And you listen to people and you try to let people that know what they're talking about the right way to implement it. Let them have a say in it. You have the American people's voice. You go out and you have town meetings and you do listen to the people because you might just get that great winner that's in that group that will come up with something that's the formula you need to make everything work. And he's the missing or she's the missing piece that puts this all together. If you don't listen to the people, if you don't go out and find people, you're never going to know what their talents are. You have to talk to people to learn that. So, and I'm going to go a little bit more here, Nick. You look like you're tired. I know you're tired, and I'm tired myself. Yeah. But I just wanted to. That was the main 2 pages I wanted to say. That when I heard people say that, I'm not. You see that I hit some points that you were hoping I did. There's a lot here. I want to do this at another night to finish this. Maybe when if I come on your show next, we could go through this thoroughly. I'll get you guys a copy each, so you guys can have it. And that's the whole thing is. And like I said, all I'm asking for is I'm not asking for anything to be handed to me. I'm not asking for you to think that this is all bullshit. I'm not. Do I think I got a chance? I think I got just as good a chance as anybody that wants to fight as hard as I do. I believe that strongly. If I can convince the American people that I care enough and I really want to make change, anything's possible for anybody. I think that the Republicans and the Democrats are in serious trouble. I think the American people are tired of the way they're doing things. I really believe that. I believe if you talk the right game with conviction and from your heart and with integrity and honesty, that the American people will start listening to. I've already noticed people that I'm talking to, people that I have a Skull page. It's strictly for the campaign. I encourage everybody to come. If you want to discuss politics, I have a coffee hour on Saturday nights from 6 to 7. It's called Coffee Hour. You come with your tea, come with your coffee, and it's like a Zoom. I'm in on the live stream, and then if you're a member, you hit the call button. You come on with me. You don't have to show yourself. You can just talk to me. If you got a view you want to vote, you want to ask me a question, I will answer to the best of my ability, and we can learn together. But it's no nonsense. It's nothing but for politics and in the campaign. It's not for a baseball game. It's strictly for what we're there for. And I'm not charged. I could have charged a membership, But what would I be setting if I did that? It's totally free. We don't want nothing. If you believe in the campaign, you go the route of putting it in the campaign fund the right way. And then I have to delegate when I need to use that by doing out paperwork and putting out requisitions to the FEC and to the bank so they could pay what I needed for the campaign. This is all on the up and up. I'm looking for, eventually I'm going to have an accountant that'll be handling that. I already set up where 2 people have to sign for anything. If I get campaign donations and I have to use the 2 people have to sign for me. I get that. I assign one of the people in the bank and myself. Neither of us could touch that money without both signatures being there. I did that. You understand? So I show transparency that I'm here to show you it's not me trying to do anything to you. And they told me, I said, is there ever a possibility that a guy like me who's never been in politics? They said, listen, the more you talk, like you said, guys, today, the more you're transparent, the more you use your life experiences, and the more people that hear you, you'll never get, you're an independent. So no independent has, unless they were wealthy themselves, got any big corporation to give them millions of dollars. But you will get some people that will drop some money in there that believe enough in you, that want you to succeed to the next state, will help you, and it'll come naturally. So when those days come, listen, I've got a list of printing I got to do. I got to print 200,000 pages of forms to get Florida signatures. That ain't going to be cheap. You understand? I could probably do 20,000 by just running one off my printer. I've had to go through a lot of paper. It's going to be the cheapest way to go, but it's still going to be out of my pocket. And I'm willing, but 200,000, that's going to be a lot of money out of my pocket. And all I'm asking for, if you want to give me a chance, is you go to the website. It shows you it's licensed by the FEC. The FEC, they know what money's going in there. The bank I'm with a legitimate bank that handles all the big campaigns, and they're very serious. Believe me, there was a stack of laws I had to sign. If I violate one of them laws, I'm fully responsible to be prosecuted for anything I break. To learn these campaign laws, learn campaign fraud, and be careful that you tread the right way. And believe me, I have no desire to even spend another day in jail for the rest of my life. So I am doing everything very carefully and slowly. I don't want to take none of that money for. I can't even fathom if I buy myself a pair of socks, they can put me in prison for a year. You understand that? If it's not campaign related, and I have to justify what I need the money for, it's like sending a purchase order. Okay, I need to take $10,000 to pay the printer. They'll even pay the printer themselves. They'll handle it right from the bank and pay the printer. You understand? Long as I represent it's going for the campaign, I'm doing everything by the law. And that's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for anything, but if you believe in my views and you believe that I will make a good president, I'm asking you to come on board to contribute in many ways. If you could be a volunteer in your state, there's many things you could do to help this campaign. Be on the phone, calling people up. Help me call these, whatever you can do. Here's the problem with campaign. You can't pay nobody to do these jobs because that's like paying for the election. So you have to be strictly a volunteer. I can't pay people to go out and get signature because that's like I'm trying to buy the election. You understand? So you got to be really wanting to help. And if you got the time and you believe in it and you think that I'm making sense, I encourage you to come aboard. I'm Joseph Samuel Catalano III. I want to thank my friend and the only political podcast in the Dalverse, OG Mumble and Dick and Lipton Cricklick. Watch these guys. They do know what they're talking about when it comes to politics. And I approve this message, and we will be doing a lot of these as I step to the plate to talk about what I think is wrong and what I want to do and how I want to do it. I'm not going to point fingers, and I'm not going to sit here and be that guy. I'm going to just tell you that I want to fix our problems to the best of the way that I can do it as I learn with you together to be one, to be a whole in this country, to make this country the greatest country. I want to tell you, God bless you and God bless America. Nick, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Joey.
Thank you.